wouldn't put a starter in a clear glass jar. But for the sake of showing you guys, I'll probably put it in this today. And it's going to be a small starter. So basically this will help create a leaven, and the leaven is used to create bread. I know it's going to be such a journey, I think, with kind of creating. I don't promise any loaves because I really don't know what it's going to turn out like in this oven. I also have like a little fire drum out the back that I'm thinking about firing up, and hopefully maybe we can get some videos of that. And yeah, so we'll see how it goes, but I want you guys to experience the journey as much as I want to take it. So, oops, sorry. Okay, go ahead and show us the magic. Did you have more audience into baking back then? Audience? Well, I baked, so I started my apprenticeship at a commercial bakery called Baker's Delight in Australia. They were fantastic. I had a very good experience there. They taught me the absolute basics that I needed. So I think I did my apprenticeship in a year and a half, and my apprenticeship was a 3-year apprenticeship. So normally I don't really kind of talk about it, but so I did my apprenticeship in half the time, which I kind of forced it a little bit because I was an older student. I wanted to finish up really quickly. I wanted to learn as much as I could in between now and then, back then I wanted to learn as much as I could. I asked for as many units as I possibly could with my apprenticeship. Like, I constantly was asking for more, and the guy who was teaching me was like pretty enthusiastic as well. He was the best teacher I think I've ever had. He was so good. He's the type of person who says goodbye like 4 times, 5 times before he actually leaves. He's the sweetest person, and I really think that he was really great. I still speak to him like every now and again, even though it's going, I don't even know when I finished my apprenticeship. I want to say it was like 2015-ish. So I still come in contact with him still to this day. It's not uncommon for bakers to kind of go back to the people who do their apprenticeship to see if they've got jobs, or just to catch up, or they might run into them if they need people to help them. They can call them up, and it's such a good kind of environment. Anyway, so he was pretty good, and I spent a year and a half there. I got offered a head baker's position at the end of my apprenticeship there, but I declined, and I ended up going to another bakery that was more of an artisan bakery, and then I kind of developed from there. But I moved around quite a bit, and I found my love for bread at the artisan bakeries that I worked at. One in particular, I really enjoy talking to the people from there still. We're all still fairly enthusiastic about bread, even though I've told them I'm never baking again for anyone. But yeah, so I think what I kind of wanted to do was take my baking knowledge and kind of merge them together, because it is something that I'm hugely passionate about, and why not? So anyway, let's get started on starters, because that is the pinnacle of bread making. If you don't have yeast, which I'm not sure if I still got my yeast in here. Oh, I do. So some people will have something like this, which is an instant yeast. If you guys have a look up close, I'm not sure if you can see that very well, but it's an instant yeast which you can buy at the shops. We're going to be using some of this sometimes, but we want to create our own natural yeast in this jar, because that is like, I guess, the kind of cornerstone of traditional baking. It's also the cornerstone of making sourdough bread. And you'll also get a lot of natural kind of bacteria in here. You'll get the natural microbes kind of in this, and it's also something really important for those people who don't necessarily are unable to kind of digest gluten a bit more. By certain ways of baking, you can decrease the amount of gluten inside the bread. So sourdough is a really good way of, or a really good example of that. And over time, depending on the time of rest that you give sourdough, it will reduce the amount of gluten within inside the bread. But this is a natural starter that I'm going to show you, and it's used for everything, especially when you don't have this instant yeast, which these have such a different flavor when they are used in breads. I can tell if an instant yeast is in it. I can tell if a yeast that has been naturally produced is in it. Like, there's so many, like, it's so obvious when a bread is made out of this instant yeast or a compacted yeast, which is what commercial bakeries tend to use. They don't tend to go for the starter, the leaven yeast. So I know it sounds gross, doesn't it, Steve? Making your own yeast. There was a lady, I think she was in the UK, and she created a leaven out of her own vaginal yeast, which is pretty disgusting. But you can also create, you can do this with beer as well, because beer has both the yeast and the sugars that are required to develop the microbes, or the microorganisms within the starter. I know everyone was like, what the hell? But it is very true. They sell yeast blocks around here. They are great. The yeast blocks are really good. Lots of places use compressed yeast around here as well. It smells disgusting and it feels funny, but but it is a really good way as well to create, like, to make bread, especially if you've never experimented with creating your own before. Yeah, beer is great. Beer will actually help your leaven a lot more, especially if you've got a dying leaven, which we can touch on that as well. We might even make a leaven that we'll just put away and we'll let it go to its end, and then we'll see what we can do to make it kind of like bubble up again. So if your leaven is dying, we can I'll show you how to fix that too. Technically true for beer and fermenting, but unless you start with brewer's yeast, you'll have a very low ABV yield. Well, I think with brewer's yeast, or with beer, it's just more or less about the flavor and getting the sugars in and getting kind of the yeast that is already within your starter kind of more active again, because you want a very active starter. Having an active starter will help your bread kind of do its thing. So, and do it in a somewhat constrained time limit. So when you're doing sourdough, for instance, you will keep the sourdough for 24 to 72 hours, and you want that yeast to be active. Or maybe you have a dough that is a shorter time, like a 12 hours, and you want it to be hyperactive. So it really depends on kind of what you're aiming at with your yeast and your starter. But beer is very good to get everything kind of going real quick. So I'll put this away because we're not going to use it